Alright, today I'm going to be talking about why everyone can't be Art. Get this out of your head, man. So, for the people who don't know, Art is a player on Furia. He's actually the IGL Furia, and he's like recently just been like a lot of videos just come out about him about being like some crazy wild player, like jumping through smokes, doing all these crazy plays, and yeah, his name's really buzzing right now. Like everyone's making videos about him, and every time I hop into a pug, man, everyone's just trying to be like him. He's just jumping through smoke. Like everyone just jumps through smoke trying to make these crazy plays. And I'm gonna talk about why that's not possible, why everyone can't do that, and only a select few people can, and why he's able to. So, starting off with the first reason, and probably like the biggest thing that a lot of people seem to forget. Like I said in the beginning, he is the IGL of Furia, so he can call around himself when he makes these plays, and he knows exactly how much risk his team can take. He's as an IGL, you dictate how the round goes, especially T side, for your team, and someone like him can call around himself to make him play better. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like if that's how the team is set up and that's their system that they got, that's that they're running and it's working, just keep doing it then. Like it's working. So first reason, he's the IGL. He knows how much risk can be made, and he can call around himself, and he dictates like what happens. So that's the biggest thing. Don't be doing this if you're not the IGL of your team, and you didn't talk to your IGL beforehand, and you're not getting that like superstar treatment on the team. If everyone is just making plays on the team, and you're on a dedicated team, and your IGL is trying to call these strats, you're when a play is made, it's usually not part of like the strat. It's usually something that's different, and it's like something that, like a risk that needs to be taken mid round. It's on the fly. So if everyone is doing these on the fly like strats and stuff during a round, whatever the IGL called in the beginning or in the middle of the round is not being done because everyone's off on their own thing. So these plays can only be done by a certain amount of people, or a select few people on a team, and these are usually what you call the stars. And I'll get into that in a bit. And I'm not saying that if you're not the star player on the team, do not make these plays. I'll get into that in a second as well. But that's what I want to stress is that not everyone can be doing this every single round all the time. Like you're throwing a wrench in your IGL's calling. And Art is able to do this because he is the IGL. So, second up is so we'll talk about duels. Right? So when you're making a play, you're usually taking a duel, and everything you do in Counter-Strike, whether it's an execute, a default, like I said, duels, there's a thing called win percentage, and this is basically your odds of coming out on top during that play that you're making or that duel that you're taking. So let us use the duel of top mid to window, and how you can analyze this win percentage. There's not an integer that's going to tell you exactly what your win percentage is. It's usually just from experience of playing the game over and over. You understand like what advantages people have, and when you're trying to analyze this win percentage, you want to take all the advantages you see in that duel or whatever you're trying to analyze, execute, default. We'll use a duel. You're trying to take all the advantages that you see and all the disadvantages you see and weigh them out and see, who really was on top in this fight. So we'll take the fight between top mid and a CT window. So what advantages are here for each player? We'll start off with the T side. So what advantages are here for the T? One, he's able to pre-aim this angle. If you're a really good player, you understand how to pre-aim this angle. Like it just comes from experience. Two, if it's online, he has peeker's advantage. So if he wide swings, he's got a slight advantage in this fight here because of the delay, from player to server, server back to player, stuff like that. So he's got two advantages here. He can pre-aim, and he's got peeker's advantage. And I can't really think of anything else, to be honest. This is kind of like a really bad fight to take as a T. So what advantages does the CT have? First of all, the CT does not have to play here to begin with, but let's say he is. One of his advantages is he can be somewhere else, so that adds stress to this player here that he has to worry about someone getting peeked from con. Two, the CT controls the engagement here. He controls the fight. Once this T is out and in the open trying to fight him, the CT can dictate when he wants to peek, when he wants to shoot, when he wants to hide, when he wants to call for a team's flash and then re-peek. He controls this engagement here. The T cannot do anything to him unless the CT peaks. Like, he dictates what happens in this fight. So in order for this T here to kill the CT over there, he has to physically get into window and kill him, or triple nade stack him, or something stupid that's never gonna happen. You know, he's got to throw a util in order to even do damage to him. If this guy doesn't peek, the CT controls what happens in this fight here. So that is a huge advantage because of this control in the fight. This gives him more advantage in the fight. He can hide, and then another advantage that he has too is team play. So he's not technically alone in this fight. Even if no one else peeks, mid, this guy still is supported by his teammates. He can get flashes over mid, and then boom, he peeks, and now you're sitting up here looking like a dumbass, you know, covering your eyes because you just got full blind, and you're gonna get sprayed down. Like, lots of advantages. On top of that, this guy can have an op. So now this whole fight just turned in from, these advantages don't even matter anymore of him pre-aiming. Like, I mean, they do, but if you got an op, this guy doesn't have to like headshot you. He's just got a body shot you. You're gonna die. You're gonna lose this fight like 9 times out of 10. There's so many more advantages to the CT. So then now that you see how it works, all these examples of advantages and disadvantages, and there's so many other things that go into it that aren't even in Counter-Strike. Like, this guy could just, another advantage that this guy could have is just having a good night's sleep, or not having to worry about homework the next day. There's so many things that go into these, like, you know, advantages that people don't think about, but we'll just keep it in game for now. So, win percentage. That's the whole idea behind win percentage there. So now let's talk about this win percentage in a team environment. Why everyone can't do this? Like, when you're defaulting as a T team, why everyone can't go for these, you know, risky plays and try and come out on top. So let's just use an example that every single fight we're going to use for this example is 50-50. There's 50-50 odds that the T comes out on top or the CT comes on top. So let's say the IGL, he's like, okay, we're just going to hold for pushes. Don't over-aggress. We're just going to hold and let the CTs peek into us, right? So everyone is holding. You got one guy top mid. You have one guy A main. You have one guy palace. You got a guy holding under, and a guy apps. And let's say that this round we'll use a light buy for an example. Let's say that everyone's got an AK and like one smoke, and you know the CTs are in a full buy. You know, you're not going to be able to play out this round standard and execute right away because you're going to get shut down by utility. And since you're low utility, you're not going to be able to re-exec. So something's got to be made. A play has to be made here if no one pushes into you. So let's say no one pushes into him, and it's like 40 seconds left in the round. And IGL's like, okay, guys, we got to make a play here. This doesn't mean that everyone just runs out and looks for a kill. And I'll explain why using statistics, okay? So let's say that this guy goes to look for a kill mid. And we'll use the example of 50-50, that he has 50% chance of getting a kill here. No matter where this person is, we're just going to say he has a 50% chance of getting a kill. And we'll say that this guy has a 50% chance of getting a kill on site or ticket. And that this guy has a 50% chance of getting a kill stairs or jungle. And then so forth and so forth with underpass and apps. If all you need is one man advantage to be in a huge advantage on T side, if two people end up going for a pick, and one person wins and one person loses, you lost that man advantage. So, and it's not really just 50-50. So let's say that this guy, we'll say two people end up going for the pick, right? We'll say top mid, and the A main player ends up going for this pick. Like the IGL said we need a play, so they're like, okay, well I'll do one, and the other guy's like, I'll do one too, because they're not communicating. And the A main player ends up looking for a pick, and the top mid player ends up looking for a pick. Using statistics, they both have a 50% chance of winning. If you need that one man advantage, in order for both of them to win, that scenario of both of them winning, you have 25% chance of both of them winning. It's like flipping a quarter, and you're specifically looking for two heads in a row. It's not looking for a heads and a heads. You're looking for two heads in a row because you need that man advantage. So that 50% odds of getting ahead just dropped down to 25. And now you only have you actually have a 50% chance of staying even and making it a 4v4 instead of a 5v4. And then now if you throw in more people going for plays, let's say that 3 people end up going for plays, now you're asking for 3 heads in a row when you're flipping a quarter. And statistics, you have to multiply, you know, 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. Now that 50% chance of getting a pick just went down to 12. That all 3 people come on top. that all 3 people will hit their shots and come out on top, you have 12% chance of doing that. So that shows why not everyone is able to do this, and this leads into star players on teams. And I'm going to be talking about the role of a star player. So this is when you hear analysts and people at the desk, and they're talking about, yo, Simple is definitely the star player of this team, or Zai is the star player. We'll use Vitality as an example. Excuse the voice crack. I just had coronavirus. Okay, we'll use Vitality as an example. Zaiwu is clearly the star player of that team. And we'll go back to this example here with Mirage. If we need a pick here, and every engagement is 50-50, let the person who has the best chance of winning that 50-50 take it. So it's actually not really 50-50 anymore. So let's say you have, I don't know, Apex and Zaiwu, and they're both top mid, and Apex goes for the play. Don't let Apex do this. Let Zaiwu do it, because Zaiwu's going to hit his shots more of the time. So now it's more of 55-45 in Zaiwu's favor versus the 50-50 for Apex. This is where the star players come in. This is why star players are the ones making all these crazy plays, and not, you know, some like support player. This is why you see Zaiwu, you know, fragging out and bombing out. And it's not that he's doing this all on his own. He's got the support of his team. So yeah, so back to this example. Zaiwu is going to take this peak because it's not really 50-50 anymore, because Zaiwu's a god at aiming versus, I don't know, let's say Apex, who isn't. I mean, he's not, but that's just, I'm using it for an example. So let Zaiwu take the peak. Let the star players take the risk because they have better odds at it. This is why not everyone's peaking at the same time. So after you understand like star player role, you're probably thinking like, okay, well, you know, I'm not the best on my team. I'll never be able to take a risk, which is not true. When the star player is dead, and there's times where risks are needed, and you don't have the time to sit around and wait for the star player. So the star player could even be alive, and you need to take a risk because of just how the round's set up. Take the risk. Let people know that you're doing it. You're trying to go for a play. I guess what I'm really trying to stress with this video is that certain plays and risks are better left to people who are better than you in those situations. This doesn't mean that they're necessarily a better player. They're just better at taking these plays. Like for me, as an example, I'm not a great aimer, but like, you know, I'm really good at team play and supporting other players when I do play. Like, I'll let them take the risk because I know damn well that they have a better chance of hitting that shot than I am. So this doesn't mean that they're better in their own ways versus I'm better in my own ways. Like, this is the point of a team. This is why you have players, you know, sometimes get 6 kills in a game, but they impacted it so much just because of how good they are with team play. They're the one entry fragging. They're the one throwing all the utility, supporting their team. You know, they're getting traded out so the Zaiwu of that team can get their kills. That's really what I'm trying to stress here. And yeah, not everyone can make these plays, but this doesn't mean that you never are going to make plays. There are times, let's just use an example, that Zaiwu ends up dying. You know, and it's down to a 3v4. They have 3 people on T side, and they're like, yo, we need to find a pick here. We're low utility. This is time for Apex to step up and be like, all right, I'm in a good situation. I'm going to make this. I'm going to try and peek. I'm going to try and jump in window and get a kill here jungle. This is a risk that he's taking. He's clearly in the disadvantage going for this fight here because this is a common peak for people to make, but it needs to be done. And this is when someone who isn't a playmaker to go and make a play. I think that's pretty much everything I was going to talk about in this video. I'm not trying to crush your dreams of being art, but you have to realize when why art's able to do that. And if you want to play like art and you're not the IGL, just talk to your IGL. If you really think that you're the best player on the team, talk to him. Let him know that you think like you're better than everyone else. Like, not trying to be cocky, but you know, if you're confident in yourself, talk to your IGL and be like, yo, like, you gotta give me some more freedom when we play. And I don't know, that's like kind of like the moral of the story. Not crushing your dreams. Talk to your IGL if you're not IGLing. And yeah, understand why art does this. So good luck with your games, and jump through smokes for me.